Hello, this is Mark Sabatella from Outside Shore Music. In this video, I want to talk about the subject of orchestrated dynamics. So, of course, by dynamics, I mean the idea of specifying how loud or soft you want a piece of music performed. When I talk about orchestrated dynamics, I'm talking about ways of achieving things dynamically other than just putting a dynamic marking into the score. I mean, obviously, if you write fortissimo in the score, people will play it loud. But there are things you can do with how you do your orchestration that will affect the dynamics that you have control over independently of whether you also write in dynamic markings. So let's take a look at a little of this. I have taken here a score for orchestra, and I have just taken a plain C major triad in this octave and scored it for 4 woodwinds, 4 brass, and 4 strings. Technically 3 string sections, but the violas are doing divisi. So we have that same 4-note chord in that octave played by 4 woodwinds, 4 brass, and 4 strings, and they're all marked mezzo forte. Let's hear that for a second. Now, in the second example, I have the exact same chord. I didn't add anything new. I didn't change the dynamic, but I changed who has which note. So, for instance, the oboes now have this low C, which is kind of a loud note on oboe. So the low E and the low C are in the oboe. It's a louder register. And I've given the flute this C instead of giving the oboe that C, the high C there. Yeah, it's probably about 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But the low C, I have put the G I've put in the bassoon, which is like, that's a high note for the bassoon, and it has the potential to kind of project. And I've done similar things for all the other instruments. The French horns originally had kind of low, medium notes, but now they've got notes towards the top of their range that really project more. And I've done the same, given trombone some notes here that are going to project, and moving that C chord from violins and violas to violas and cellos on that same note, on those same notes. So everyone is just pushing their range. Most people are towards the upper end of their range. The oboe is towards the lower end of the range. It's still those same 4 notes. I didn't change the octave. I just changed who got which note so that they are in a more powerful part of their range. So I've talked about it. Let's listen. This is just computer playback, but it's a reasonable approximation. You'll hear it's a difference, subtle but noticeable. Let's hear the original followed by the reorchestrated version. Could you hear that the second version was just more intense? Same exact number of notes, same exact dynamic marking, but it just has a little extra intensity because of which instrument has which note. And then finally, as a more extreme example, I took that same chord and just gave everyone more notes so that now the whole orchestra is playing that exact same chord. Still all notated mezzo forte, but just because more people are playing, it's going to be louder. Whoops, here we go. Right? So let's hear all 3 versions, just so you can tell what difference can be had in how you choose to orchestrate it, kind of independently of the dynamic marking. So here's all 3 versions. And there you have it. I guess technically the timpani had a low C that no one had before, but everyone else was just on those same 4 notes for that last chord. Okay, so anyhow, I hope you found that to be a useful demonstration just of the idea that how you orchestrate a particular passage is going to have an effect on the dynamics, and you can use that to your advantage.